Hi. A lot of you have wanted me to review patch notes, go through an overview of patch notes, and I've done this before on stream, but not a dedicated video of it. It's been more reacting to the patch notes than telling you what's in the patch notes. So this video is going to be a test run of giving an overview of the patch notes, what it means for each character, and how it might affect you when you're either playing the character or playing against the character. Thankfully, this patch is very short. There were only 3 characters that would change, so it's going to serve as a really good test for this sort of format of a video. We're going to start with Alisa's down 4. So the down 4 damage got changed from 15 to 12, and this is going to be more of a change on how Alisa goes about using her lows and neutral than it's going to affect people who don't use Alisa. The problem with down 4 before, sorry, play Lydia. The problem with down 4 before is that it did so much damage and made down back 3 obsolete. It did so much more damage than down back 3 on top of course, on counter hit, the 1+2 is natural, the 1+2 extension, right, does 32 damage, that extension wall splatting, right, so Alisa can run up to the wall here, do down 4, 1+2, and then get full combo. This caused an issue where you would never really use down back 3 because even though it has a purpose, down 4 just trumped it in every way, and there was no real reason to use down back 3. I mean, even the range, you can see the range of down 4 is a lot greater than down back 3. But because of this damage nerf being 12 now instead of 15, it puts it more in line with down back 3. So it creates a reason for Alisa to use down back 3. How can Alisa use down back 3? Well, when she's in crouch, down back 3 forces crouch, it crushes hides, of course, and Alisa can do power crush from crouching. So she can do something like this. So even though it's -2, if you try doing a down forward 1 or something into her, she can power crush you out of this. Now, of course, again, that didn't really matter when the strength of down 4 was so prevalent. But with down 4 being -1, down back 3 being -2, 1 damage difference, it creates a situation now for Alisa where she'll use down 4 to be more aggressive, right? She'll use down 4, the stagger with the 1+2, to be more aggressive but take more risk. Down back 3 is going to be more of a defensive tool that crushes highs, and if she's using this a lot, you have to be wary of her doing up back 2 from crouch to counter your down 4 ones, your jabs, whatever. Also, this is +3 on counter hit, which means that if you try doing a down forward 1 afterwards, then she can do a counter hit grab with her from crouch down back 1+2, and then that's going to be counter hit for 45 damage. So that is the basic change that Alisa has to down 4, and why you have to look out maybe for the down back 3 a little bit more, and just things to look out for in that situation. All right, so the next change is going to be to her DES forward 1+2, which is this move. Well, not the follow-up, but it's this move, right? +5 on block, 23 frame startup, does a good chunk of chip damage. The chip damage on this has been reduced from 10 to 6, and then the chip damage in heat has been reduced from 10 to 15. If we go into heat here just to demonstrate this, you're going to see the chip damage here is 11113. So that's going to be what comes out to be 10. So it's not one move that's doing 10 chip damage, it's all of the chip damage added together that's doing 10 chip damage while in heat, if that makes sense. Same here, 2, 4, 6, right? Instead of, I think it was 3 before, so it was 3, 6, 9, it was something like that. I don't remember exactly. So how does this affect you then? So after Alisa does heat engager, forward 1+2 is a force block. You cannot avoid that situation. Forward 1+2 is guaranteed for Alisa. You can't sidestep it, you can't armor through it, you obviously can't pair it because it's a chainsaw attack unless you're like Leroy. It's just guaranteed. You can't avoid the situation. So what ended up happening was if Alisa did a heat engager like this, you're doing 32 plus the extra 15 chip damage you got in heat, making that in particular a 47 damage heat engager. Now it's 42 damage, there's a 5 damage decrease on the forward 1+2. That's the main change that you're going to see from Alisa in DES. Now, in terms of using the move in neutral, being an Alisa main, I can tell you that this is a move that you only really use if an opponent is either crouching a lot for the down 1 or if they're being extremely defensive and then you try getting the chip damage out of this. But really, there are a lot better options that Alisa can do for chip damage than the forward 1+2. Like forward 1, for example, you can see how much that does, and it leaves her +3, and there's her fastest move at 11 frames. So this is going to beat out jabs, right? It's going to beat out pretty much any option that the opponent does, except like arm move, down jab, a couple of things. So she has better options for chip damage, and that's not the main reason you're using forward 1+2. So the main change here is to get rid of that guaranteed chip damage at least a little bit after the heat engager. But that's really the only change. In terms of the overall change to her chip damage in regards to nerfing her chip damage, effectively it doesn't do anything. It's not really a nerf. It's not a substantial nerf. You're never using forward 1+2 for chip damage with Alisa. Never. And then the last change, which is probably going to be the most substantial, is forward 2-1 is now -12 on block instead of -10. And I don't think I need to explain to you why this is such a big change. One thing that you do have to keep in mind, though, is that Alisa after the first hit is still -4, which means if you're attacking into her, she can just sidestep. And that's probably something you're going to see more against Alisa players, is doing just the forward 2 by itself as a mid poke, and then Alisa's sidestepping. So if you try doing a down forward 1 or something after it, she's not going to try catching you out with the forward 1-2 anymore to counter hit you, because now that's so risky that there are a lot of situations and a lot of matchups where that's just not really worth it anymore. More what Alisa's going to do, in my opinion, is they're going to Twitch confirm this. They have enough time to be able to hit confirm this if they see you moving or hitting a button or something. And if I was playing Alisa, that's what I do, essentially hit confirming this by seeing you attack. But in terms of using it as a poke, I mean, it's +7 on normal hit by itself. It still does 12 damage. It's -4. It's pretty good. And she can still go into DES and start mixing you up with this on block and DES. So I think this is going to change from being a mid-range, mid-poke heat engage that's relatively safe to more being about just the forward 2, and then Alisa utilizing her defensive capabilities to get around your like defensive tactics by using your down for ones, your jabs, stuff like that. So overall, the changes with Alisa are minimal. They are more to address some of the more overpowered aspects of Alisa, moves that just make other moves or options obsolete more than actually nerfing her. The overall changes to Alisa, I don't believe really fundamentally change the strength of the character at all. It just changes how Alisa has to approach some moves. Button moves like forward 2 and down 4 are still going to be as strong as they were before. They just have to be used more in conjunction with other options that she has to be effective. But they are still very strong, and I don't think Alisa has been changed that much this patch. All right, moving on to Dragunov. So first, Heat Smash got changed so that the hitbox is less likely to hit when the opponent's behind you. This doesn't change the tracking of the move. To be clear, what this changes is the backwards hitbox of the move. So there are times, and you can see this with like, if you go back turn with Yoshimitsu, do Kincho all the way to the wall, have the opponent run at you, and then do Kincho 3. There are moves in this game that have a hitbox that is way behind the character to the character's back, and that means that the move can hit while the character is back turned under the right circumstances if the character runs up. That's what they've changed with Dragunov, because Dragunov had the same thing going on with his hitbox off of the last hit of his Heat Smash. This isn't going to change the tracking of the Heat Smash at all. It's not going to make it more linear or anything like that. It's just going to stop Dragunov from being able to hit the Heat Smash when his back is turned. So after you sidestepped him, when you run up to him, when the third hit's going off, and you hit him. Besides that, down 2 got changed from 17 damage to 14 damage. I don't think that this is really a substantial nerf. It is a lot more reasonable for a move like this to do 14 damage instead of 17, but is it still a really strong move? Yes, of course it is. Are Dragunov players still going to use it? Yes. Is it really going to make a difference how Dragunov is played or how you play against him? No, it's not really going to... You probably wouldn't even notice it unless you read it in the patch notes. Probably the most significant change for Dragunov is the change to back 4-3. So the change to back 4-3 makes it so that the second hit will no longer track while you are sidewalking. Before, when Dragunov did back 4-3 and you sidestep the first hit, that second hit could track to the opponent's sidewalk. Now, that is not the case, as you can see. If Drag does back 4-1, though, that's still going to hit you, so sidestepping isn't an end-all be-all solution. It's more so if you're just trying to sidestep or sidewalk in neutral, and Dragunov throws this out more than anything. But yeah, as you can see, the 2 is still going to track, so there's still a little bit that needs to be done with this probably, but yeah, it is a lot better, and it makes sidestepping less risky of an option in this scenario. And then finally, there's core circle forward 4, which is what everyone's really been talking about. And this move now no longer knocks down, and it no longer wall splats. And at first, everyone goes, hip hip hooray, this move doesn't wall splat anymore, but there's still issues with it specifically because it is +8 on hit. So it creates a situation where you can do like this on hit into, because of the distance, you can actually do a backdash crouch cancel into down back 3+4. You can do this in the back 1+2, and then do something like this, and then do this, and then this, and then not that, but this. And then that can hit them, and then you can do this, and then crouch cancel into this, and then this. And you can see that the pressure is still there, right? So the difference really is that what this stops is the wall splat, and this is obviously nerfed at the wall, but Dragunov can still use this on hit just as oppressively as he can before. Before, when this hit and you were at the wall, it would cause that knockdown. Dragunov would have to dash up, and then he would be able to do some sort of small okie thing. But here, when this hits and when it's blocked, because on block it's still only +7, Dragunov can do basically anything. I mean, even on block here, if we do this, Dragunov can still run up hatchet kick, right? And now on top of that, he can just crouch cancel after this into a hatchet kick. And because you're still forced crouch at -8, you can't really step against him either. You can't do armor moves. You don't have a lot of options on hit and block. And that makes this really difficult to deal with regardless. So is this really a buff? Is it a nerf? My opinion is that the move is basically the same. In terms of strength. It did lose the wall pressure, but because of how oppressive that this still is in neutral, I think it's just the same, if not better than it was before. So overall, Dragunov did get nerfed. He got nerfed slightly. The main change is going to be the back 4, which makes sidestepping a little bit safer. But the truth is that when you tried sidestepping this, you had to step guard to avoid that second hit. Now you don't have to necessarily step guard here. You can sidewalk a little bit easier because obviously back 4 is just such a common move. But in terms of the other nerfs, down 2 isn't that significant, and core circle forward 4 still has the ability to do so much, even regardless of not doing the wall splat or the knockdown anymore, that it hasn't really changed in terms of strength. All right, and then lastly, we're gonna be on Heihachi here. So he got a couple of quality life changes, but the main thing that got changed with Heihachi is his 1 back 2-2 and Warrior's Instinct. So that's going to be this move. So we do this. Oh, for God's sake, activate it. Let's do the right combo. Here, bop, bop, bop. And then bop, 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 and then we get the stomp, right? So what they changed here is that you can tech roll after he does that move. It doesn't actually change anything for Heihachi's combo routes as far as I can tell. Okay, so let's go in here and then do this, bop, bop, bop. Yeah. So everything that he got there normally is still guaranteed. He just has to do it immediately. So if you're playing against Heihachi and he does that, just make sure that you're tech rolling. So yeah, it's a slight nerf to Heihachi. It's not really a big deal. And it's only gonna happen maybe once per game, and that's maybe. So it's not really a substantial change. And that's going to be it for this round of patch notes for version 1.09. Let me know what you thought about this overview and if you want me to continue doing stuff like this in the future. And thank you for watching. I hope you learned something from this, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.